1. Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Powered by EXP Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
So, Matt, guess what's happening this Friday? Or not this Friday, on August 29th. It's on a Thursday.
I would assume you're doing something crazy. You're always up to something.
I am always up to something. It's the 5th anniversary of something super incredible.
The 5th anniversary. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
It's the 5th anniversary of the Mix and Mingle networking event that happens in Sacramento.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
The Mix and Mingle sounds like a dating app.
That does sound like a dating app, yeah.
The Mix, say it again?
Mix and Mingle.
Mix and Mingle. So it's not just about mixing, but you're also mingling.
Yeah, you're getting to hang out with people. Yeah.
5th anniversary, so it's been around for a while.
Yeah, and so that's actually why we have Trevor Fong in the studio today. Trevor Fong's an insurance agent, and he's actually the founder of the Mix and Mingle. But I've been riding his coattails for the last 4 years or so. But anyways, Trevor, you mind giving us a little background what the Mix and Mingle is and how it just got started?
Yeah, so about 8 years ago when I opened my business, it was really tough to grow. It was really hard for me to grow my business. Just I didn't know a lot of people. I had a very small network, probably less than 20 people.
And what kind of business would this be?
Insurance agency.
Okay.
Just really wanted to grow it. And I went to a mixer when I opened the first month in and got super nervous. I was at some hotel downtown. Ended up going next door to a bar to take a shot of Fireball. That's what I drank 8 years ago. And went back into the mixer, passed out about 20 business cards, and went home feeling pretty good. Back then, that Fireball...
Hold on a second. We got to rewind just a minute. So you went into the mixer. You're feeling nervous, uncomfortable, because I would assume you're somewhat of an introvert.
Yeah,
right?
I was super shy.
So you decided to go to the bar and find some energies, get some confidence.
Liquid courage.
Liquid courage.
I had no other choice at the time, okay? I didn't show up to a lot of events. That was my first event I'd ever gone to, like outside of maybe one wedding.
And what
That's
were you doing
hilarious.
before you started your business?
Like prior, like just I was a retail. I was in retail. I was a assistant manager in a retail setting.
Okay.
So awesome. You got the liquid courage. You went next door, handed out 20 business cards.
And, I collected so many business cards, I was able the next day to send some texts, emails, and say, hey, nice to meet you. I met a few cool people that I still talk to today. And that was the start. I did that once a month for years. And then finally I realized that I was like, these events, they're pretty small, but I could probably do one bigger. I love going to weddings. I'd been to a few more weddings since then. And I really enjoyed the networking social aspect of having a drink and, talking about your business, talking about yourself, getting to know people.
Yeah.
So 2019 came around, like July. I texted a club owner I knew. I said, hey, if I bring 100 people to your venue, will you give me some space or let me rent it out? He said, sure, if you bring 100, it's no problem. And in August 2019, so 5 years ago, we had about 250 to 300 show up and crushed it.
Oh, nice.
And then from there, it was just like it took off. Every month we were doing it for a while. And that really made it so I never had to pick up my phone again to call anyone.
How did you market an event like that? How did you get 250 people to show up to what would be, was it a business networking event?
Yeah.
Or what? How did you
Business networking, advertised as business networking. But I think what I always skip, I never really told this side do it because I think people want to hear the glamour side of just doing an event. A lot of people showing up. From 2016 to 19, I attended almost one event, 2 events a month. And I really just made sure to follow that suit of pass out 5, 10, 20 business cards, get to know 5 people every day, and really build a connection. So when I used to collect business cards, when I go to events, I still have every business card I've ever collected since. I'll show them all to you at one point. On the back of the card, though, when I had a little more time to be a little more personable, I used to write down their favorite drink. And that, to me, was like just how I remembered them. Like, it could be a vodka soda, could be a shot of tequila or a whiskey or something cool.
Yeah.
And that really is how I got to new people.
That's smart.
Yeah, and so that's what... So when I met Trevor, it was...
Do you remember Johnny's favorite drink?
Don't actually.
It's in the business card book. It's in the business card book.
I don't see Johnny drink that much, to be honest. So that's the hard part.
Chocolate milk, just to let you know.
Yeah. Okay. No, and so when I met Trevor, it was actually at one of these events, and I showed up because I'd heard great things. Because normally when I thought mixer, like a networking event, it was people in like an office setting, just kind of hanging out, talking about themselves. It was boring. It was dull.
Sure.
And I went to one at the Mix, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally different than any other event I'd ever been to.
How was it different?
And it was different because they had a DJ playing music. It was in a club atmosphere, and it was just packed. Like, it wasn't like slow. It wasn't dreary. Sometimes it's almost depressing going to some of these mixers, know.
Yeah.
And like I'm not making fun of them, but like these people have tried so hard. They've invited everybody they know. They have like balloons, or they have little themes, and they're trying to, or they're raising money for a good cause. But the energy, the vibe of the room is just very subdued. And then when you go to like Trevor's, it was totally different. It was popular. It was like there were people lining up in front of his banners taking photos. It felt like I was meeting a celebrity when I met Trevor for the first time. And at that point, I was like, okay, how can I recreate that? Because instead of me going to 2, 3, 4 different events a month, how can I get everybody to come to me? And that's essentially what Trevor did. And so we had a mutual friend, and she connected me with Trevor. And this was actually in 2020. And then we ended up launching my own little networking event, and then it kind of just grew from there.
So my question would be, at an event like that, usually, like you said, at traditional networking events, it's somewhat of an older demographic, and like you said, it's a little bit more subdued. At an event like this, it seems like it's a party.
It is. Look, how would you describe it?
It's like a club atmosphere, like you said, right? Music and drinks, and is there real networking going on? Is there real conversations about business, or how would you say that it's a productive event that I would go to, and I feel like it would grow my networking and my business?
When I look at the guest count, or I see the guests that come, a lot of them are newer to business. If you're really established in your business, you probably don't need to come to these, and that's just just happens naturally.
Yeah.
But we look at our guest, and we look at frequency of return rate, which I think we have like a 50% return of current guests, which means we put on a good program, but also the new blood that comes in, the new people that come in that really want to grow their business or grow their social circle. And from these events, I've officiated weddings from it. I've seen people do partnerships and grow their teams. I've seen Johnny meet people and grow his Made for More. Whether it's happened as a result of the mixer, I think it's just more the activity of being there. Like, Johnny's team has grown substantially since I met him, and it may not be a direct result of the mix and mingle, but him being there and showing up is certainly showcases these entrepreneurs' commitment to growing.
So obviously, it's not free to put on an event like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to Johnny, we cover the cost. We get a few sponsors, and
it's free to attend.
It's free to attend.
But it's not free for us.
Right.
Yeah. And so I also think it depends on the mixer, on the quality of the event. So, like, for example, it's totally different. Like, the last couple times we've had a guy out there hand rolling cigars. For years we've had a person, Vosswood, who does permanent jewelry, and so he's there doing that. We've had
tattoo artists.
We've had tattoo artists. We've had the 3D photo booths.
Right.
Where people can do that. Like, there's just a lot of fun things happening.
And we've seen those guys get opportunity from other places. Like, when we brought in the photo booth, other of our partner in either the venues or the other businesses have hired them. So we know business is conducted. We don't track it like a BNI. I think that's where we've done things well. Is we don't really we do have a measuring stick for guest count, but we don't. I don't track every deal there. It would be impossible for us to know what every transaction happens.
Well, I don't play golf, but I've heard that a lot of business and transactions get done on the golf course because it's a great way to, relax, let your guard down a little bit, have some fun, right?
Yeah.
And connect in a way that you wouldn't usually have across from a conference table or something like that, right? In an office setting. Yeah. And this seems to be similar. It's a little bit more of a modern day golf course where you're relaxing, you're hanging out, you're having drinks, you're enjoying some music, and you just let your guard down a little bit and have some real authentic conversations where you get to know people, and that's where the true networking comes into play, right?
And it's really cool when people, so there's the people typically come, like the repeat guests, and then they bring new people, like, hey, you should come with us.
Yeah.
And it's those moments where that's where it's cool, because like doing this for years now, there's certain people who it's like, oh, so great to see you, and now we, instead of us having to set up individual coffee dates or just call them individually, it's all in one room, and now I'm also meeting new people through those people. And so anyways, it's a totally different event. Like if you're thinking about going, it's happening again on August 29th, 8 o'clock at the Mix, and just register and show up early.
And for people like yourself who are a little bit more introvert and they think of, oh my gosh, walking into a room of 250 people, that seems really intimidated. I'm kind of a shyer person, but I know I need to network and connect with other people. Yeah. What would be your encouragement for them?
I think number one is do what I did. That's why it's at the bar. There's an opportunity there to
go straight to the bar.
Yeah, go straight to the bar and pick your poison. But I think, on a side note, I had a guest register that I met at my first mixer. I haven't seen her since then. And I remember her because we work in the same building. So she happened to be an office over from me. And she signed up and I was like, hey, did you sign up for my event? I haven't seen you since, the first one. And she's like, yeah, I have a new friend coming to town. She wants to meet people. So I don't know where to take her, but I think your event would be a great place. So that made me feel pretty good about it. But I know with them, they're super shy. So the advice is probably go straight to the bar, come find me. I've put my name on it pretty heavily so that way guests know who I am. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I do, I think it's just natural reaction now, is if a guest comes up to me, I'll naturally just in my head try to pair with some people like, hey, meet this group. They'll take good care of you. Cool. And I think that just comes from knowing our guests so well. You
bring up an interesting point about the introverts, though. And we'll
because you are an introvert as well, John.
Yeah, we'll cover this. We'll cover this after the break. Back after this.
Mike, don't you just love people who go over the top and make sure you're taken care of and feel great afterwards? Well, listen to this. Ben, he wanted to buy a new home, but he needed to sell his current home first. So he reached out to Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team with Made for More Realty, and they made sure that he was taken care of. They talked to the builder to hold his new home until his current home was sold. And because of Johnny Jennings' reputation, the builder said, absolutely no problem. We're going to do that for you. Johnny sold Ben's home quickly and negotiated a rent back for Ben, giving him plenty of time to seamlessly move into his new home.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty. They have a full staff dedicated to making your home selling process the easiest and most efficient it can be. That's why they've been voted the #1 team in Roseville for the last 3 years. Plus, they sell your home on average 27% faster and for a 3% higher price. Expect more, get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty, brokered by eXp Realty. Just Google Made for More Realty today to get more for your home. License number 581837.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So we're here with Trevor Fong. He's an insurance agent, and we were talking before the break about how you're introverted. And
how would you define introverted?
Oh, that's a good question.
Introverted to me is just shy, quiet, low key, doesn't want to engage too much, doesn't want to be seen, heard, really wants to kind of lay back in the shadows and observe but not participate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I definitely don't. And I'm introverted as well. So here are two dudes, massive introverts naturally, but yet we're trying to grow our businesses. And the best way to grow that business is through people, right? You need to have connections. You need to meet more people. And so Trevor was doing a great job with his mixers, and then I was learning from you, and still am learning from you.
Yeah.
And how many people were at the last event? Like, how many do you think we had?
We had over 500 in and out throughout the night, with over almost 1,000 signups. 50% show ratio for sure.
Yep. And then and that, which is also great for the venue that we're at. But we get a lot of questions like, how is this different? Because you're at a club. How is this different than a club setting? Like, how do you delineate between mixer and club?
The difference is that when a guest walks in the door, their mindset or what their intentions are. We go to a nightclub on a weekend. You're there to celebrate, have fun, hang out with your friends, and that's pretty much what you're doing.
You're there with your group.
Yeah, you're there with your group, and you don't have the intentions of meeting other people intentionally, unless maybe it happens. With the mixer program or the mix and mingle, we are doing that, but we are telling guests as they come, represent your business, represent the best side of you in your social circles, introduce people. So we remove the kind of the barrier that holds people back from mingling. We tell people that's encouraged at our event, and we advertise it as such.
Yep. And it's a little different. So instead of people being in pods, it's kind of weird because if people will just walk up and start talking to you, and that's encouraged. Like they'll walk up, oh, I'm so-and-so. Oh, what is it you do? And now you're having productive conversations where in a traditional club setting, that's not what you're talking about in a club.
Okay, so play that out for someone who's new to this whole type of event and they want to come to your next one, which is August 29th, right? And where can they register or sign up?
On Eventbrite.
Eventbrite. Okay, What's it called?
Search Mix and Mingle.
Mix and Mingle on Eventbrite, August 29th. They want to come, but they want to know, what do I do when I walk in? What's a script or something someone would say if they're brand new and they want to walk up and start mingling and mixing with people?
We actually make it pretty easy because we have a check-in table where we offer name tags. That's becoming less popular, but we have Johnny and his team doing check-in. And typically he actually asks, hey, how'd you hear about our event? Did you register online? What do you do for work? Or tell me about yourself. So we kind of prep them as they walk in the door. We do it to them. And I think naturally they pick it up pretty quickly that's what everyone's doing. Mm-hmm. So the check-in table is, I think, what differentiates it from being a club. Rather than going up to a girl paying a cover charge, you're checking in with Johnny and his team, introducing yourself already.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, too, we can be like, oh, you should talk to so-and-so. Oh, check out so-and-so. And we can direct them. Where I see, like, how, for me, again, as the introvert, what has helped me in these types of settings is going either with somebody or meeting somebody there who is an extrovert. And then that extrovert is having the time of their life. It's like a kid in a candy store. They're meeting all these new people, and then they're introducing you.
Yeah.
So if you are an extrovert, bring your introvert friend. If you're an introvert, bring your extrovert friend, and the two of you can have a great evening.
There you go.
So,
that's smart.
Yeah. So, Trevor, is there anything that we have special planned for this event that you want to share?
That's what you and I are talking about too right now, is how do we make this one a little more special because it's the anniversary. But this one I think will be really special. There's a long time ago I had a good support team of networking guys that would it was Real Men Wear Pink. And they were against, the breast cancer. They were making strides against breast cancer. Mm-hmm. So we brought them into this one to showcase or at least help them generate awareness. So this will be the first event where we actually have a cause built into it, and people can show support by wearing pink or wearing all blue for that fight against breast cancer. This one also, we're going to allow the sponsors to speak a little more. I want to get some business owners up there. That's kind of on this agenda, is to get some business owners up there to speak about their success from the Mix and Mingle program. But we're going to really find the success stories and have them share.
That's
I'm curious. During COVID, were you able to still do the event, or did you have to
we didn't
pause?
I think we paused for a little bit.
Yeah.
I had one scheduled, and I put a note up saying, "Hey, we're going to pause for a while to see what happens."
So this is what really happened. So I met Trevor in September of 2020, right? And I think my first mixer that I threw was at the House of Oliver here in Roseville. In October.
House of Oliver, Matthew Oliver.
October of 2020. And so he. Was it 2020, 2019? I don't remember what it was, but I did not stop my mixers. I was doing them every single month, and Matt did not care at House of Oliver. He was
absolutely.
like, let's roll. And so so we put, and there were fewer people, like sometimes 50, maybe 100, but it was a totally different thing than having a line out the venue, down the corner and around the street. And so, and in Sacramento City. So for me, we hit pause on this, or Trevor hit pause on the big one, and then we just kept doing.
That's probably how we partnered. Is we started doing some smaller scale stuff together, and that got me kind of back to the roots too, of like, hey, really like making meaningful connections, and then blowing the mix back up when it opened.
Yep, back when it was allowed. And so for me, partnered with Trevor, started at House of Oliver, kind of outgrew that venue a little bit. Then we were doing crawdads, and then on the river. But for people out there, because you get hit up all the time, people are always asking you, "Hey, how can I start a networking event? How can I do all this?" And I have not seen too many people have success with it. Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give to somebody who was looking to maybe start their own mixer?
I think it really comes from building social relationships, and that's again why I think the Mix and Mingle program will always be successful. Is as quickly as you can DM someone or go on a LinkedIn or go on a Facebook and send them a message. There is something about sitting down with someone face to face, having a real conversation and getting to know them. So when you want to start a mixer, you want to do some networking, you really have to get back to the basics, the roots of what is networking. It's just sitting down with someone, maybe for coffee, maybe over just a more personalized phone call as opposed to text, and getting to know people. And once you do that enough, you could launch a mixer and have the support, because you'll have a team of 20 people around the city that know people that know what your intentions are. They'll bring people to your event. You'll grow something really special.
Yep, and that's kind of what we did. Like if I had started my own networking event on my own, it would have been like me and Valerie would have been the only ones there all night, Yeah. But because we partnered with you, it's like, okay, now he's helping and he's supporting us, and we're tapping into now Trevor's network. So what I've seen people do is they leverage their other relationships. Like people want to help people. Like it's not like you're asking for like $1,000. You're just saying, hey, do you want to come out and bring some friends and have a good time and meet some other great people?
Yeah.
And so leverage your closest connections and maybe the different industries they're in. That's the easy part. The hard part is doing it consistently.
Right.
And so like I was doing it the third Thursday of every month for over a year. So that's super consistent. And so if you're only going to do it once, and then and just to try, like don't even do it once if you're just going to try it out. Like you have to have the intention of, hey, I'm going to do this consistently for a long period of time. Here we are. Trevor's been doing it for 5 years. He's not necessarily an overnight success. There's not a reason. It's no surprise why thousands of people are showing up and registering over the last 5 years. It's because he's been doing it consistently, and he's consistently been delivering a quality product. Like he's giving people what they want. And so, yeah. Anything to add on that?
I think you're right on that. I think that when we launch a mixer together, because this is really like our thing now, I really look at are we doing it consistently? Are we getting better, a little better each time? And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like it could be the decor's a little nicer. The wristbands for our VIP guests, are they a little nicer than last time? Like first time I did wristbands, we had like paper, and then we go to the cloth. So I just look for that constant improvement of the program, everything we do.
Yeah, constant improvement. Like the graphics, I know you're the graphic designer that we're using is
the flyers. I always try to one up the last flyer. If I could just make it a little prettier, a little shinier each time. Nothing crazy, but just slight improvements.
Yeah. But you have to keep doing it. If you let that flywheel slow down or stop, people are like, why are you still doing this, Johnny? And I think it's I like working with you.
Yeah.
That's honestly the main reason. But the other reason why is that it's just so hard. If I let go of the reins or that wheel, the momentum is just going to fall off, and then everything we've been working on for years, or I've been working on with years with you, would disappear into the ether. And so you just have to be willing to do it consistently.
I'm helping with a few big festivals next year and larger scale projects, just like consulting. And I think the number one feedback I had was like just such simple stuff like, why did the flyer not look as good last year? Why does it look worse this year? Why is the sign up more difficult this year to buy a ticket than last year? Why the price is more inconsistent? And I think just those basic things is what dictates their success a lot, because when it's hard for a guest or a consumer to see that product or understand what it is, it's hard for them to purchase or commit. So I try to really simplify the process and make things streamlined.
And also, because these venues, that was the biggest question, like, where would I do this? Who's going to let me hang out at their space? And you brought to mind that there are a lot of people out there, a lot of business owners out there, that they're slower on Thursdays. You have
to know when to attack it, right?
Yeah.
Since it is work, Thursday's a good night because it allows people to work or do networking, which is part of their work, and then, go fried egg and then go home.
Mm-hmm. And so you were strategic about that. And then also, like you're bringing these venues business.
Yeah.
If your regular crowd is 50 people on a Saturday night, and then all of a sudden you're bringing in an additional 100, 150 who maybe have never been there before. Now you're bringing the venue business.
Yeah.
And so, as far as the financials on this, how do you work the financials so that way you can do this consistently without draining your resources?
I think one thing I've paid attention to that I don't know if I've shared with you too much is I know how much each guest spends per my event. The average spend is about $35, $40 a person. So for every person I bring, it's $40 to the venue's register, and I know those numbers. So when I talk to an owner, I'm able to give him those numbers just because I know every guest will typically buy 2 or 3 drinks at my event.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so, So it probably depends on the venue too. Like if you're doing something at like a a House of Oliver, the cost, the spend per guest is going to be different.
I mean, they're still going to at least do one to two drinks per person.
Absolutely.
Like, we know that. So we just look at their menu and just pick the average drink price, multiply it by 2, not including tax and gratuity.
And that's a safe number.
Yeah. So we know kind of how to reverse engineer that.
So that helps get you into the venue. But as far as because the things that we typically focus on are obviously the venue, decor, photography, entertainment, maybe a little bit of food. Like, how do you do all that? How do you break that down?
Well, I keep it simple for you. We look at venues that have the capacity. So number one thing I look at is the venue capacity. I want to see whatever their number is on their door. Like, if they have a 93 capacity, then I know about 100 people can fit in there, right? Mix is like 350 or 375. That matters for size of the event. And then you just look at their menus and really decide, is this good enough? Small bites, good drink menu, cocktail, happy hour, whatever it may be. And you just pick it based on, like, does that fit my guest and is that my style?
Yeah. And then as far as sponsors, how do you, like, if somebody was looking to start their own mixer, how would you recommend them go out and get sponsors?
I'm terrible at getting sponsors. That's the one thing I do not. That's why this event's free, is I don't want to ask people for money. I hate asking people for money, but I think you just have to. We did it backwards. We put on such a good program at the Mix with so many people. We had people coming to us saying, "Hey, how can I sponsor that or be a part of it?"
That's true.
So that's my strategy too for networking. I want to meet so many people that I never have to ask anyone, "Hey, can I quote your insurance? Can you send me some business?" I'd rather just know 5,000 people and naturally, 1 to 10% consider me when they need something.
Oh, I've been meaning to ask you this. Yeah. So you are all over social media. Like, you are always liking, commenting on stuff. What's your strategy behind that? Like, how much time would you say you spend a day on social media?
I probably spend 3 hours a day on social media. Okay. But if you look at the social media, it does two things for me. It allows me to see what's going on in people's lives.
Yep.
Everyone's posting the celebratory stuff, babies, weddings, engagements, anniversaries.
Podcasts.
Yeah, podcasts. I want to know what's going on in most of my friends or people's lives. That's a good way to stay connected. People post what they want to show. I want to see what they're posting. And then the second thing is word of mouth on social media is so good. I think there's times on social media I'm watching stuff that's probably not productive, but I try to get back to the basics of watching, like, business videos. I like watching some podcasts. There's some things I listen to that are productive, but I do spend probably 3-4 hours a day on social media.
So you have such a huge network, though. Like, do you keep a list and, like, look for their profiles, or is it just organically showing up in your feed?
Instagram, naturally, the algorithm now does that for you. It kind of puts your top friends at the top and the stories you view more in the front. So, the phone's always listening. It does that for you.
It's always listening.
Yeah,
always
listening right now.
Awesome. So let's say you throw this event, you meet some great people, you're now following up. You suggest following them and just start liking and leaving positive comments?
I think that's the spray and pray method. I think that's going to, hopefully they'll see your name and they'll think of you. But that is more, I think, just branding in itself, or just like leaving like breadcrumb trails. I think what you really have to do, and if you want to be successful with these mixers, is try to meet 5 people, get their business cards, do the old school, like write down their favorite drink, what they're into, and really call or text them the next day to set some time to do one-on-one with them.
Yeah, the one-on-ones are where it's at. All right, and so the next Mix and Mingle is coming up August 29th, 8 p.m. at the Mix, and they can just go on Eventbrite and register for free. And just please do show up early if you want to get in, because sometimes people are waiting.
Yeah, no dress code at these things. Wear whatever represents your business. We got people in gym clothes coming. It's cool.
And then some people in like full-on suits.
Yeah.
And everything in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, and wear some blue or pink if you want to support the cause.
Yeah. Making strides against breast cancer, so wear pink.
Yep. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Trevor.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Matt, it's something I'm hearing more and more. You have to plan for retirement. You have to know what you're doing. And for Kathleen and Phil, they are at retirement age. And part of that retirement plan was selling their beautiful home in Folsom and moving out of state. So when the time came, they called Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty to sell their home. And they did in 6 days. And They also got a record price for the neighborhood.
Yeah, so if your home is part of your retirement plan, obviously you want to get the most for it. That's why Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team, they get on average 3% higher purchase price than all the other realtors, and they sell them fast. 27% actually faster than everyone else. So expect more, get get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team at Made for More Realty, brokered by EXP. So all you do is Google Made for More Realty, do it today, and get more for your home. License number 581837.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by EXP Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Matt, do you think cars can be a good investment?
Most cases, no, absolutely not. They say when you drive a car off the lot, it depreciates like at least 25%.
Unless you're driving like a Mercedes C1000.
Exactly. Which sells for what?
Well, I just saw one. So I was at the car show recently in Pebble Beach.
Oh my gosh. I want to go to that so bad.
Why?
It just seems amazing. All of those vintage classic cars together in one spot. I mean, you have the most premier vehicles, automobiles in history all in one place at one time. And they're all in pristine, just amazing condition, and you've got the owners, and then you've got an auction as well, right? And it's just a beautiful part of California. Holy cow, Pebble Beach, Monterey.
Yep.
It just seems so incredible.
Definitely think when I go in the future, I definitely want to bring the boys.
Yeah.
I was talking.
And stay for the entire week.
Stay for the entire week. Oh my gosh, there's so much. But a friend was telling us about how there's different events and that are super family friendly, and he said one of his favorite things to do is take the kids to the Laguna Seca track, because then there's people out there just, different classes of cars on the track, and the kids just love it, and it's free,
and it's windy.
And
I'll tell you that.
And it's windy and cold and loud.
Yeah.
But it's also fun. It's like driving down. You see one exotic car or one rare car, and then all of a sudden by the end of a day or two, however long you're at the car show, you're like, I have seen a lot of Ferraris.
Right.
I have seen way more Rolls Royces than I have ever seen in my life.
Right.
And
it's cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
But
if you have a kid that appreciates cars, I wouldn't say it's for younger kids, but a little bit older kids, it can be a lot of fun.
See them having a blast. Yeah,
But I want to just go as an adult. I want to go with no kids, so I can really appreciate it and experience everything.
There's so much. So it turns out
How did you like it? Because you were down there. Right?
Yeah. I went with some buddies. They a dear friend put on this awesome event where we actually drove down and all there was what was there, a Porsche GT3. I'm not a super big car guy. There was a really nice Ferrari. There were two nice Ferraris. There was actually one of the Ferraris. I didn't even know they did this. It's a 4-seater Ferrari. And so it was the minivan, the family's minivan. And so 4 guys piled into this Ferrari, and then
it's a Ferrari coupe.
Yeah,
a Ferrari sedan.
Yeah, a 2-door. But yeah, I mean, I sat in the back of the car at one point, and I was like, "Wow, this is really nice." Like, I did not feel like
you didn't feel cramped at all.
No. And I'm not huge, but I'm not 3 feet tall either. And then the other car that was there was that we drove down with was a Maserati.
Oh, nice.
Like an SUV. And so, anyways,
and they weren't part of the car show. They were just going down for fun.
Yeah, and so we just all went down for fun. And how I ended up down there was because the guy who owned the Maserati, his name's Adam, super nice guy. He just invited a bunch of guys, and he's like, "Hey, let's go and see some great cars, meet some great people, and have some fun." And because we were talking earlier with Trevor about networking, and deepening relationships, and that's essentially what this was: a bunch of guys in different industries going down and getting to hang out with each other and learn from each other, and just not even like business related, but just have some fun.
Right.
And so, but I tell you what, it totally changes your perspective on life when you go in there. So we were at an event, I think it was called Motor Lux, and there were all these fancy cars and jets. Like, I had never been inside a private plane before, and by the time we left there that night, I'd probably been inside 6 or 8. Mm-hmm. And it just totally changes your perspective on, is this attainable? Is this not? Is it real? Would I even want this? Maybe something that, like, I thought the Honda Jet, that looks cool. Maybe one day I have a Honda Jet, and then I get in the Honda Jet, and I'm like, there's no way I'm paying this much money for this little tiny thing. This is not what I want.
So what does a Honda Jet like that go for?
$4 million.
$4 million.
Yeah.
And it just didn't impress you?
No, not for $4 million. There were other things over there that I was like, okay, that would make more sense. I would prefer that over $4 million. Spending $4 million on that than on this little baby jet. Or like there was an auction taking place, and it was just a total paradigm shift, because people are there. Like, if I do something with Jack, it's like, let's go to the park, like something free, something fun. Let's go swim at the pool at the gym or something like that. like this guy was there. There were multiple parents there with their kids, and their kids were participating in the auction. And the auction isn't like $10,000, $50,000. It's like $1 million, $2 million. I think the top car that sold that night was somewhere around $3 or $4 million. And the kids are sitting there, participating in the auction, waving their little paddles in their hands. And my biggest takeaway was there's different levels. And so for somebody listening to this, like, yeah, my kid does that all the time. That's not a big deal. Like all my friends' kids do this. And for some people, it's like they can't even imagine doing that at any point in their life. They're lucky. And you can go down this huge whole rabbit trail of like justifying where you are at in life.
Sure.
But one of the biggest things I took away from it was just gratitude, and like how fortunate I'm not buying a $4 million anything,
Right.
But how fortunate am I that I live in a country where my kid gets to choose what he wants to be, that I'm healthy, that my family's healthy. Like, there's so many people out there living in poverty, or religious oppression. And so walking away from that, it was just like, you hear a lot of negative things in the news. And I'm not saying that I met like everybody that I saw there was a saint, but my biggest takeaway was just gratitude that I was able to experience this.
Yeah.
And not even something as crazy as getting on a jet, but just get to experience what we like, driving down safe roads, having reliable food and water. Like, it's just, I don't know. Sometimes, do you ever play the lottery?
No, never.
Never?
Never. I played it once when I was 18 just to prove that I could do it. Like a rite of passage type of thing. I'm 18. I guess I could play the lottery. Better do it.
So you played the lottery?
Never wasted $1 on the lottery in my life.
No.
And I don't understand how when the jackpot gets higher and higher to where it's like $2 billion and your chances decrease in those situations, why more and more people decide to play it. That just is ludicrous to me. It's, okay, my chances are less that I'm going to win this thing, but more and more people play it. That just seems ludicrous to me. But what about you?
Well, no. So I definitely play it more so in times past, because I like just like envisioning like, okay, if I had this much resources, what would I... You
like to play it so you could dream. That's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I play it so I can dream.
And it's just like removing the limits. Like if you were to remove these limits that I have right now, what would I do with it? And so it's just fun to think about. But so often, again, going back to that gratitude thing, I go back to thinking like, man, I've already freaking won the lottery.
Yeah.
Like compared to billions and billions of people,
Sure.
I have already won the lottery.
Exactly.
My wife loves me. I love her. Our kids are healthy. We have jobs to provide for our families.
Yeah.
And
there you go.
Yeah.
What does that do for you? I mean, because we talk about that a lot on my other show, is the key to having joy in your life, to being successful, is gratitude. Because a lot of times you can go down a dark tunnel of discouragement and, well, that didn't work out. Well, that didn't work out. This isn't going for me. And you can just focus and be consumed by all the negative stuff, especially in the headlines, right?
Yeah.
If you're focusing on social media and the news, you can be overwhelmed. Your brain can be filled with negative stuff, and that is not going to help you at all. It's not going to help you get further down where you want to go. But like you said, gratitude, when you find the things in your life that you can appreciate and are grateful for and see the good in things, it will help you. It will provide you momentum and energy and the what you need to persevere and keep going and find those wins in your life.
Yeah.
When you focus on that, it helps you be more successful.
It changes your state. So like, every morning I wake up. Well, I don't want to say every morning and exaggerate, but I would say 97% of the time I wake up and I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord, for another day.
Right.
And just starting the day with just a little bit of gratitude. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I wish I could stay in bed another, hour or two, but hey, thanks for another day. Thanks that I am so busy. Right. Rather than, there are a lot of people in my industry right now who wish they were as busy as Valerie and I are.
Right.
And so just as far as what's the benefit, it just changes your state.
Yeah.
And just changes your perspective. Because let's take the opposite and say, rather than a heart of gratitude, it's one of resentment. Like typically, you're blaming somebody else if you're resenting. Like they did this, or they did this to me, or it's not my fault. You're not accepting responsibility for maybe what you can accept responsibility for, and you're now have given away that control of your day, of your perspective, to a circumstance outside of your control.
Yeah.
And so let's just, forget it. We're going to embrace gratitude. So that's something I'm not perfect at. That's something that I'm working on.
Right. And I think when it comes to real estate, people appreciate working with those type of people. Who wants to work with a cynical, negative realtor, or who wants to have someone like that on their team? I'd much prefer someone who's optimistic, who is seeing the positive, is seeing the good in every situation.
Yeah.
Because I know that they're going to persevere, and we're going to look for those opportunities. That's an optimistic person is looking for those opportunities.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes as a realtor, I would assume you work with clients that can be negative or cynical, but you come along and you're a breath of fresh air because you're always focusing on the positives. Then I think that works for everyone. That's how you create a winning team. That's how you become successful in real estate or whatever career you're in.
Without a doubt. So it's something that I've witnessed Tom do countless times, and we have to have a hard conversation. It's about negotiations, price, anything that's going on, and it's just time for like an honest, sincere, hard conversation. But he hops on the phone and he starts it off positive. He doesn't start with a low negative energy, like I'm sorry, guy. Like he's like, hey guys, we got some good news and we got some bad news, and he's upbeat and he's positive, and that instantly elevates the conversation into a better place than it would be if he wasn't, coming at it from that perspective. And so as a real estate agent, or if you're working with a real estate agent, or if you're buying or selling your house, there's a lot of crazy things that happen. As far as getting the house ready, dealing with showings, going out and seeing the property, moving out, moving in, negotiations, dealing with your realtor. There's a lot of ups and downs in a transaction. And so just constantly daily resetting, maybe even hourly, every 30 minutes, just resetting and having that moment of gratitude. Hey, so when something negative happens to me, what I'm trying to reframe and do is, okay, this is negative. What can I be grateful for in this moment? And so then that way it's okay, I'm not discrediting the negative thing. I'm just saying, okay, yes, but there's something positive as well, and then move beyond it.
Yeah, or how to find the positive in a negative situation, because you find that a lot in business as well. Where, for instance, COVID was disastrous for a lot of people, but for many who decided, hey, where can I find the opportunity in what's happening? Not to take advantage of people, but where can I find the opportunity in what's happening negatively? And sometimes those are huge turning points and places of advantage where you've decided where everyone else is looking at the negative, everyone else is focusing on what's wrong. You're one of the few that's looking at the opportunity to turn the negative into a positive.
Without a doubt.
It's a huge win.
Huge win. So he's I don't know him very well, but we're becoming closer friends. And so as he's sharing his story, he worked very, very hard in his younger years, and then he had achieved a lot of success, and then he developed cancer. And now all of a sudden his perspectives altered. And what he said once, the gift from the cancer was he used to do so much work and everything was on his shoulders in his company. And then once he had cancer, he couldn't do it. And so it forced him to lean on the other people in his company. And by doing that, he realized how incredible and talented, oftentimes more so than him, they were at these different tasks. And so then his company just grew. And thankfully he's cancer free now to this day. But in that moment, hearing that when you're walking through it, sometimes you can't see what you're going to be grateful for on the other end.
Right.
So just keep going.
Yeah. So. You have to believe. You have to have hope and believe that there's going to be good from this.
Yep.
If you just have this mentality that this is the end, this is it. There's no hope to recover. Yeah. If you believe that, then that's the truth that's going to happen.
What's the opportunity here?
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about more opportunities when we come back after this.
So, Matt, obviously, we have a friend in Johnny Jennings who is a great realtor who can sell your home super fast. And every morning I take my dog for a walk in my neighborhood, and there's this house that has been on the market for what feels like an eternity. Because whenever I talk to Johnny Jennings, he's like, oh, yeah, we sold this house in 3 days. We sold this house in 8 days. And I'm like, I mean, should I just leave Johnny's card on their front door so that they can finally sell their house?
It's true. Maybe you should, because guess what? Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team with Made for More Realty, they sell homes 27% faster than everybody else, and they don't sell them for a discount. They actually sell them on average 3% higher. There's a reason why they've been voted #1 team in Roseville for the past 3 years, and why they have so many, almost 800 5-star Google reviews. So expect more, get more with Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves team with Made for More Realty, brokered by EXP. Just Google Made for More Realty today and get more for your home. License number 581837.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by EXP Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Dads are deal killers when it comes to residential real estate. Have you heard this before?
No, dads are deal killers.
Deal killers.
So when you say that, dads are deal killers, the first thing that comes to mind is a teenager and her dad with a shotgun, and she's trying to go on a date with this guy, and the dad's there, and he's the deal killer.
Yep.
You are not going out with this guy. You are a deal killer.
That's basically the same.
Is it?
Basically the same.
But you're talking about when it comes to selling your home or to buying a home?
Yeah, so think of buying a home. So think about instead of a shotgun, dad shows up with a flashlight and a tape measure. And you're like, oh man, here comes Pop.
So coming from your perspective, you're trying to help a couple buy a home.
Yeah, so somebody's looking to buy a house, and oftentimes it's maybe their first home, and they're nervous, they're scared, and so who are they going to lean on? They're going to lean on the support group. Oftentimes it's family. And dad's bought 1 or 2 houses. He's owned a house for the last 25 years. He knows a thing or two, so he's going to help protect his baby girl. And so he shows up with his flashlight, tape measure, and
and his leveler,
and a screwdriver, and he's gonna find everything wrong in this house, and everything needs to be fixed before she moves in, or else, like, why are you buying this house? It's falling down. It's not good enough for you,
right?
And so you're gonna have my grandchildren in this home? Like, no, that's not happening. And so dads are deal killers. And so, however, not all dads are deal killers. Valerie and I.
Well, hold on, go back.
Okay.
How do you, as a realtor, deal with that?
You just let them.
Because they want perfection for their princess.
They want perfection.
But perfection is not realistic.
No.
And how do you convey that to the dad?
Hey, I'm sure you want perfection for your princess, right? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Well, then why'd she marry this guy? Like, you settled once.
Why did you allow that to happen?
You settled once. Let's settle again. Okay, that's not a big deal. No, so I'm trying to get better at communicating, and what I mean by that is, it's easy to say something to somebody. It's a whole different ballgame for that to be heard and received by somebody. And so if I'm trying to give advice or guidance in a transaction and they are not hearing that, and instead they're hearing, hey, he just wants a quick sale, hey, he's in it for the money, he doesn't have my best interest. If I'm giving them solid advice, but they're hearing that, then they're not hearing what I'm trying to communicate. But if they trust me, and they understand that we've done this many times and we understand the process and we're protecting them, then they're hearing, he has my best interest. I'm so glad he's looking out for me. I couldn't do this without him. And so when dads then insert themselves, it's now the dad's trust a little bit versus the trust that they've established with us. And so now we just have to figure out a way to marry the two and give and reassure dad now. Because once dad's reassured, then the daughter, it could be a son, then the family will be reassured.
Yeah.
But not all dads are deal killers. In fact, I went on a listing appointment recently, and mind you, I'm walking into this house, and the dad meets me at the door. And I'm like, this is different. Normally I meet you on the buy side, And dad, he's like, here, let me walk you through the house. It's my daughter's house. All the stuff.
So the daughter was not there.
She was there.
Oh,
she was there. And then we sit down at the table after, touring the home and going over everything we provide, like about the Bay Area buyer marketing plan, the 5 people that we pay to proactively market the home, how we pay for staging, give you like a warranty, all this stuff, and the digital marketing. And we get to the end. I was like, okay, so what do you think? Do you think I'm the best agent to work for you? And she looks over to dad. She's like, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, he's really good. I've never seen anything like this before. And I'm like, thanks, Pop. But
Yeah, that's
dads
right.
are not always deal killers. They
And
sometimes
that's why you were grateful that you showed up with some cigars to bribe the dad, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what happened?
No, man. So I would say
I'm just telling you, that's a smart strategy right there I just gave you.
Cigars?
You know, always have a pack of cigars with you in every appointment in case the dad shows up. And you know,
at the home,
and that's the deal saver.
That's the deal
instead
saver.
of the deal killer.
Hey! You don't. This is easy. You don't have to even use the tape measure. Just light up the cigar, stand back, let them do all the work.
Exactly.
We got
there
this.
you go.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So I am blown away because I grew up in a super anti tobacco home, and I just kind of thought more like everybody was like that. But I'm blown away at the number of people who really appreciate, men and women, cigars.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's a type of refinement. Some people look at it that way. Like, you know, it's different than, you know, cigarettes and tobacco that everyone grew up in the 60s, 70s, even 80s, and sometimes even 90s. It's just different. It's a different experience.
Totally
you
different
know?
experience.
But how does your mom feel about that? I'm curious. And your mom and dad, because you like to smoke cigars. So how does your dad and mom feel about that?
I would say dad's the one ironically enough that got me into it.
Oh, right.
And so if he doesn't like it, that's tough cookies because he got me into it. But my mom's definitely not a fan. Not a fan. So,
but luckily you have a wife who also smokes cigars, right?
Mom's not a fan. Mother-in-law is not a fan.
But all that matters is your wife.
But Valerie, Valerie, because I mean if you eat ice cream, like sugar's bad for you.
Sure.
Right? And so I'm not saying, like there was a time when I was smoking 7 to 10 cigars a week.
Really?
Yeah. And so it was just the thing I'd do every night. I'd come home, eat dinner, and then I'd be working outside, like the garage, and I'd just be smoking a cigar. And I just really enjoyed it. But when the boys were born, it's like I didn't want them to be like, 2 weeks old smelling cigar smoke. And so I prefer to hang out with them than smoke cigars.
Sure.
And so, now maybe it's one every 2 weeks.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's not as often as it used to be. In fact, I have not bought cigars in a long time because people there's a lot of generous people out there, and they'll give me cigars.
It's true. I don't smoke. I've never smoked, but I like the way cigars smell.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I like it's just like coffee. I don't drink coffee. I hate coffee, but like some fresh ground coffee, the smell, I appreciate it. I do enjoy it. Like when my co-host comes in and he's got coffee, I go, oh, that smells good. I would hate to taste it. It would taste terrible. Same thing with cigars. I would never smoke a cigar, but I appreciate the smell of them.
Well, hey, we'll be smoking cigars Monday. If you want to come on by and grab one
and sniff them,
you can just sniff them. You don't even have to smoke them. You can just hang out.
Here's the cigar sniffer.
Yeah,
that's great.
So, all right. Well, hey, cigars do increase the value of your home. Not all dads are bad, and if you are available on Thursday the 29th, come out and check us out and meet us and have a great time at the Mix in Sacramento.
And where do they get info on that?
Just Google Mix and Mingle on Eventbrite. Just search it, Mix and Mingle, and you'll see us pop right up.